Okay, Sparky, I'm going to record this one so that you have a little bit of an idea how vehicles work in chain of command. We're going to pick this up right where we left it with the last infantry assault right before the grunts go in, but this time they have a Churchill to help them out. So we still have the one living MG42 guy on Overwatch here from the Bren gun shooting at them. But we're going to activate this tank before we send in our grunts. Now you need a 3 to activate a tank. It counts as having a junior leader. And when you activate the tank, you take each action that the junior leader has to activate basically one of the crewmen. So for your first activation you could say activate the driver, and then you have the option of moving 1, 2, or 3 D6s. If you stay stationary, you can fire the main cannon. If you move 1 D6, you can't fire the main cannon, but you can still fire the machine guns. If you move 2 D6s, you can fire the machine guns at half effect. And if you move 3 D6s, there's no shooting. For the other initiative, we can activate the gunner. So basically it would be one initiative to activate either the main cannon or the coaxial machine gun, and then another for the bow machine gun, which is what we're going to do. We're trying to send in our boys here. So we're going to fire with the cannon at these Germans in the rifle squad. Cannons are a little bit different than rifles or machine guns. Cannons don't care about range. They're cannons. So we basically go over here and we find our tank. So we're going to call it a Churchill Mark 7. The first stat is armor, anti-armor piercing, anti-tank, and 6 for high explosive. These are all numbers of dice. So to fire at them, we're going to roll 6 D6s. But the Germans are onto this trick. You remember the time when we were adding up chain of command points? Well, this is what they get used for. We're going to do something called an ambush. As part of every German platoon, you have a Panzerschreck team, and burning that one chain of command dice is going to allow us to take this guy from off table and set him up for one firing attack before he goes back onto the table. So we're going to set this little Panzerfaust up right here, burn our chain of command dice, and take one shot at the Churchill. Now from where he's looking, looks like he'll probably get a flank shot. So the Churchill, we're going to roll 2 D6 to hit the Churchill, needing, we're going to say that at this range, well, according to the rules, it's obscured, so you need a 7 or higher. And there's a couple of modifiers here. So, didn't move flat out, any of this stuff. So it's just going to be a straight up 7 or higher to hit the tank. So you roll 2 D6 needing 7 or higher. That was a miss, but for the purposes of this we'll say it was a hit. So now we're going to take the Churchill's armor value of 10. It's a pretty big, heavy tank. And we compare that to the German, here it is, Panzerschreck. And each one of these are range bands that you're taking a -1 for shooting past. But it's going to be in its first range band, so it gets 13 dice. 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now its 4 pluses are always successes for the attacker. So I'm going to roll these and count out our successes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we got 10 successes for the Panzerfaust. Now the Churchill's going to roll his armor, which is 10. Now since we said this is going to be a flank shot, we don't subtract the number of dice, we just change the number we save on. So normally this would also be a 4+. like the Panzerfaust was to hit. But since we're saying it's going to be striking the side armor, it only saves on a 5+. So we're going to roll these and see what happens. And oh boy, we only got 3. That is a difference of a lot. So we have net 3 hits or more. So we're going to roll a d6 on this chart and get a 3. 1 through 4, vehicle's knocked out. So that's it for our Churchill, but we want to see how they actually work. I just wanted to show that for you. After the ambush, it's going to go back off table. I just wanted to show that to you to give you an idea what chain of command dice can do. Now the Churchill itself, firing at these Germans, rolls its strike HE value of 6. So you're going to take 6 dice and roll them. Now, it's the same chart as before, rolling against the hard cover, but since it's a cannon, it counts as 1 cover less. So you're going to take light cover instead of heavy cover. So 4s and 5s are shocks and 6s are kills. So we're going to roll our 6 dice and give them 3 points of shock. Now that's going to be useful. But the Churchill can also fire its machine gun. That's the same as regular infantry fire, and a vehicle machine gun always rolls 6 dice. So it's the same as always. We're rolling at close range against average troops. This one's a miss. And they're in hard cover, so 5s and 6s is what I need. So I got a kill and another point of shock. Now this is going swimmingly. We're going to roll to see... Oh wait, he's not part of them. So if he was working with these guys, we'd roll to see if the junior leader was taken out, but he's not. So we're bringing this up to 4 and killing a grunt. So now, when we send in our infantrymen, I'm first going to remember that there's 7 guys instead of 6. So that's going to bring us up to 11 dice to attack them. Now the Germans are starting with 5 instead of the 6 that they were before. They're going to add the 2 for the British movement dice like they did before. So when we come across, the British are at 11 dice. The Germans start, as I said, they start at 5. They get the 2 for the British moving. So that gives them 7. Now 2 for every 1 for every 2 left that they have, but these 4 points of shock, for every 2 of them they lose a dice. So they're down to 5. So they only get 2 extra dice for this wall. So now they're rolling 7 dice versus the British 11. So we'll grab a couple of dice here and just see how this goes. 7 dice, perfect. Remember, we're still rolling for 5s and 6s. And the Germans kill 4 Brit. Wait, is that a 5? Yep. 5 British and 3 points of shock. Wow. These are some very tenacious Germans. And then the British are also going to attack. Only 2 and 1 point of shock. So that still didn't go very well for the British infantry. But as you can see, the situation was far improved by softening them up with the tank. Still assaulting guys in heavy cover is very difficult to do. We wouldn't really want to just run across the field and bayonet them until we'd shocked them up quite a bit. But, you know, we're just showing you the mechanics here. I would probably, if I was playing this game for real, first off, I would have lost this Churchill, but I probably would have softened them up a bit more, waited until the mortar took a little bit more effect, or just tried to knock out their MG42 team and move in through this cover and fight them on more open ground. But that's the basic idea. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great day, and good gaming.